Good morning, Excellencies, Ministers, Chris, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to speak to this distinguished audience. I'm happy to see many of my family faces and my old friends. In my shortly remarks today, I'd like to indicate four new trends in the field of religious issues in Uzbekistan. First, Uzbekistan is historically a country of interethnic, interconfessional, intercultural, and interlinguistic tolerance. Indeed, for many centuries, representatives of different religious confessions, nationalities, cultures, and linguistics live peacefully in my ancient country. A multi-confessional society in Uzbekistan has been formed over the centuries and peaceful coexistence of various religions. We always appreciate this valuable priority of our historic development. All this suggests that Uzbekistan created a unique and original model that provides peace and religious stability in our society. The second peculiarity, modern Uzbekistan is a secular state. Uzbek constitution guarantees the separation of religious organizations from the state, non-interference in the activity of religious organizations, and equality before law. All religious communities, be it religious organizations with huge or small number of members, should enjoy the same range of rights and freedoms. Uzbek constitution also prohibits the formation of political parties on religious principles. And the law on freedom and religious organizations further stresses that the state does not entrust religious organizations to fulfill any state functions and does not finance activity of religious organizations nor activity associated with propaganda of atheism. Interethnic harmony and religious tolerance are among the priorities of the policy of Uzbekistan. All rights are guaranteed by the Constitution and laws, as well as our international obligations on human rights. And we have created all conditions for 16 religious confessions. There are more than 130 national minorities sharing different faiths and live together peacefully. The interreligious relations are generally harmonious, and there are not any reports of religiously motivated crimes. And third, Uzbekistan last year, as you know, as mentioned before the speakers, invited Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion or Belief, Mr. Ahmed Shahid, in Uzbekistan in October 2017. And this report was considered in the 38th session of Human Rights Council in Geneva. After the consideration of the reports of Special Rapporteur Ahmed Shahid, Uzbek Parliament, both chamber, legislative chamber and Senate, was adopted as a roadmap on implementing the recommendations of Special Rapporteur. And Chris indicated this brochure, after adopting the Parliament, we published. We are already for further active and constructive partnership with our American partners. These are my last comments. We are our specific plans for the near future. First, to develop policy concept in the sphere of religion and interethnic relations, taking into account modern realities for exclusion from the list of CPC. In other words, further strengthen legal guarantees of freedom of activity of religious organizations, liberalize the registration of religion organization, and simplify their reporting, as is mentioned by Minister of Justice. The second, to organize joint seminar on religion of the main international instruments of the United Nations, for example, the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, the optional protocol to the Convention Against Torture, OPCAT, and number of ILO conventions. Having in mind Chris Seipel audience on this event, I'd like to propose to convene the roundtable on the drafting the new version on the law on religious organizations. As Minister Kamilov said, mentioned, and following the recommendations of the Mr. Braunbeck, where we aim at including the following amendments to this law, simplifying the registration and the reporting process, suspension of religious organizations only upon court's decision. Today, the Minister of Justice may prohibit the activity of religious organizations. And it's very important. It's a great American jurist in the early 20th century, Roscoe Pound, stated that there is the law in books and the law in action. Our biggest problem is implementation of adopted laws. We must bring closer the law in books and the law in action. In conclusion, I'd like to mention the word of great German writer Goethe. He wrote, "Solving each problem is a new problem." And we must work together to solve all the problems concerning us and so on. Thank you so much.